Hi everyone, this is Mike. Welcome back to my channel, and this is another chapter of movies from A to Z. And today we're on the letter O. So I'm going to talk about Ordinary People, which is a film from 1980, directed by Robert Redford, the first film that he directed. Um, this is a fantastic film. I saw this when it first came out in 1980 and loved it then, and just watched it again tonight. I've seen it several times over the years, but it's been quite a while. And it still is so moving and so effective. It's one of these films that even though I know every line and every scene that's coming around the corner, uh, I still care about what happens to these people. I just think it's a very well made movie. Okay, so Donald Sutherland and Mary Tyler Moore are a married couple. His name is Calvin Jarrett. Her name is Beth Jarrett. And they live in Lake Forest, Illinois, which is a northern suburb of Chicago. Very nice city. And they were the parents of two sons, a boy named Buck and a younger son named Conrad, played by Timothy Hutton in the film. And when the film opens up, there has been, well, before the story of the film starts, we find out that there had been a boating accident where the two boys were both involved, and the older son Buck drowned, but the younger son Conrad, he managed to survive. And of course the whole family was devastated by what happened. Each one of them is trying to process it and deal with it in their own way, and they're all very isolated from each other. They can't express what they're feeling to each other, even to themselves, quite frankly. And we also find out that Conrad, who was about 16 when the film starts, he was so devastated by what happened to his brother that he tried to commit suicide, and he was in a mental hospital for several months. And now he's home, and he's trying to start his life again. He might be a senior in high school. Timothy Hutton looked pretty young. I don't know if he's supposed to be 16 or 17 or what, but anyway. So what we see is his struggle and trying to communicate with both of his parents. He has a very loving father. Donald Sutherland gives a great, very warm-hearted performance as a loving father who's trying to help his son. And his mother, played by Mary Tyler Moore, is very distant with her son. And we find out that the son is beginning to come to the understanding that his mother loved the brother who had died much more than she does the brother who survived, the son who survived, and that his mother is angry with him, maybe angry because, well, why did you live and the other one didn't? It's a very complicated family situation, and as I said, we see these three people living in the same house, going through the motions of being a family, but in a way each one of them is alone and isolated. It's very well done and very, very devastating to watch. Let's see. I don't want to give too much away. I'm sure that most people out there within the sound of my voice have seen this film. It's been around for a long time. It was very popular, but maybe some of you haven't, so I don't want to give a lot of the details away. But it's a very emotional, very quiet movie. I remember when I saw it in 1980 in a theater that was just jammed with people. There wasn't an empty seat in the place, and nobody was moving during the entire thing. It just total silence. It was quite an experience, and as I said, I still find it to be effective today, and I think that's a credit to the direction by Robert Redford, who won an Oscar for Best Direction. It also won Best Picture for 1980, and it won for Best Supporting Actor by Timothy Hutton. And it's a credit to all these great people that contributed to this film that it is still so incredibly moving and effective. So I would highly recommend it. I think it's one of the best films of the 1980s. And Mary Tyler Moore, by this time, she was an icon of American television. She had been on the Dick Van Dyke Show in the 1960s. Then she had her own show, the Mary Tyler Moore Show, from 1970 to 1977. It was a huge success, and she was so well known to the public. But she actually becomes a different person other than, sweet little Mary from television. She creates a very strong character. Doesn't make you think at all of Mary Tyler Moore from television. At least I didn't think of it that way. And as I said, Donald Sutherland had made a lot of films. He had been in MASH, things like that. Little Murders, he played the crazy hippie priest in Little Murders, which is a terrific performance. But this one, yeah, I think he was at his peak in this film. Timothy Hutton was just starting out as an actor. He had done some television, but this was his first feature film. He was very young. I think he may have been 19 years old when he did this. And he went on to have a very long career. He's still working as an actor and as a director. But he struggled quite a bit after he did this. He did a string of films which were not all very successful. And a lot of people said that it's kind of a curse winning the Academy Award for your very first movie. I don't know. Of course, Mary Tyler Moore was also nominated for Best Actress, and she didn't win, but she did win a Golden Globe, as did Timothy Hutton. So what else do I want to say? Who else is in the film? Judd Hirsch is in it. Judge Hirsch, who of course is well known from the TV show Taxi. He plays Timothy Hutton's psychiatrist. Very good performance by Judd Hirsch. Very, very good performance. We also see a young actress named Elizabeth McGovern in her very first film, and she is terrific. She plays Timothy Hutton's girlfriend. They're just sort of beginning a relationship, and it's a beautiful development of a relationship between these two very different kinds of people, but she's a very lovely girl, very lovely actress. We also see young Dinah Manoff, who it wasn't her first film. She had done several things before that, but she gave also a very good performance as a young girl that Conrad had become friends with when he was in the mental hospital. And she's only in one it's a very emotional scene, a very brief scene, but she does a good job. She ends up being a very important and a very tragic character in the story. And let's see, who else is in it? I'm trying to think. Adam Baldwin, who was sort of well known in the 1980s, was in several films. Well known for the film My Bodyguard, in which he played the bodyguard of another teenage kid the same year as Ordinary People. There's also a very brief performance by an actress named Mary Claire Costello, who is not in the movie for very long. She plays Mary Tyler Moore's sister-in-law, so it's kind of a throwaway performance, really. But for those of you who know of a very interesting horror film called Let's Scare Jessica to Death, that came out in 1971, she played the vampire in that film. You never really know it was the same actress, but yeah, that was kind of interesting to see her in this movie. I didn't realize it was the same person. So, okay, that's almost 8 minutes talking about Ordinary People. Highly recommended, and I know I can watch this again. I could probably go and watch it again, as I did just a few hours ago, and still be moved by it and care what happens, even though I know what's going to happen. So try to figure that one out. I can't. Okay, comments are welcome. Thank you for watching.